This is KGW News at noon.
We start today's News at Noon with a couple of live looks outside. So on the left here, our Wells Fargo sky cam overlooking downtown Portland shows raindrops right now, but we have seen some snowflakes mixed in with those raindrops at times this morning. On the right, a look at Highway 26 from the ODOT camera up by Government Camp, where it has been nothing but snow all morning. You can see the pass there completely covered as we head into the noon hour. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Drew Carney. In the Weather Center right there, it's Chris McGinnis standing by. So Chris, where else have we seen snowfall today?
How about at the beach? Like at the beach. I've got some video of Newport. Right. Yeah, there you go. That's the video from earlier today. Snowflakes falling at sea level from Yaquina Bay. You can barely make out the Yaquina Bay Bridge there in the background. Didn't amount to very much or anything, but you know, it's March 1st. It's the first day of meteorological spring, and we have snow along the Oregon coast, and we've had snowy coastal passes as well. That said, I wanted to show you this because if you are traveling to and from the passes, or I should say to and from the beach today, it's good to see that we've got bare pavement here. Up at the Sunset Rest area at almost 1,500 feet, or up to 36 degrees. So what accumulated on the passes overnight in most cases has melted away with maybe a few exceptions. So still kind of wintry. I caution you, though, because temperatures will dip once we get back down below sunset, and the coastal passes will again turn wintry overnight tonight. Here's the live look from our Wells Fargo sky camera. It's gray, it's yucky. It's 38 degrees at the airport. Here in downtown, it's 36, and I have seen some snowflakes mixed in with the raindrops here outside our studios. That threat continues into tonight. Accumulating snow, not really a threat on the valley floor, but as low as 500 feet, if we get a heavy enough snow shower overnight, there could be a little dusting out there. So just know that as we go into this first weekend of meteorological spring, that we are dealing with low snow levels, well below average temperatures, and a fairly wet and cool forecast over the next several days. We'll roll through that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, we look forward to that, Chris. Right now, we do want to get to some of our top news headlines this afternoon. In about 2 hours from now, House Bill 4002 will be introduced on the floor of the Oregon Senate, one day after it passed in the Oregon House. So this bill amends Measure 110. That's the state law that legalized possession of small amounts of some hard drugs. The new law would open up the possibility of jail time, although anyone convicted could still avoid going behind bars through a combination of treatment and probation. We heard from state representatives on both sides of the aisle after this bill passed in the House.
Oregonians have been clear. They are ready for this misguided drug decriminalization experiment to be over.
We started this process with the belief that we can do better than how we used to treat possession of drugs in 2019.
As the bill moves to the Oregon Senate today, the clock is ticking because in order to become a law, it needs to pass before this legislative session ends, which is 1 week from this Sunday. KGW's Thomas Schultz is covering today's action in the state Senate, and we'll have more for us coming up here on KGW News at 4. Two other bills aimed at helping the state's housing crisis have already passed through the Senate. One, Senate Bill 1530, provides hundreds of millions of dollars for things like homeless prevention services and infrastructure upgrades. The other, Senate Bill 1537, grants $75 million to help cities speed up construction of affordable housing, and it also allows cities a one-time expansion of their urban growth boundaries. Senate Democrats and Republicans both chimed in about these bills after they passed.
We have to make sure we build more affordable housing. We have to make sure that we build housing, increase our housing production.
We should slowly be able to bleed out of having to fund temporary shelters, get those folks into much more permanent, stable housing.
Both of these housing bills are now headed to the Oregon House. Bodycam video from the Clark County Sheriff's Office shows what happened last week when 3 deputies opened fire, killing a man who they were trying to detain on suspicion of sexual assault. According to investigators, this all started with a woman who called and said her mother was being held hostage, and the suspect who was holding her had guns everywhere. KGW's Alma McCarty is going to walk us through this body cam footage, but we do want to warn you first that some people may find the video in this story disturbing.
Did you find your phone?
Around 1 a.m. on February 20th, 5 Clark County Sheriff's deputies show up to a brush prairie property.
With the truck.
Here, body camera video shows they encounter the victim and the suspect outside of the suspect's home an RV on the property. That suspect, later identified by the Clark County Medical Examiner as 53-year-old Jonathan Gale.
Is everything okay? What happened?
As the other deputies talk with Gale, the first deputy talks with the victim, her identity blurred and voice redacted in this video.
Did a crime occur?
According to investigators, she tells the deputy that Gale sexually assaulted her, and she reports the suspect is armed.
What are you guys doing out here?
Wait for you guys.
All day?
No, she said that her daughter called you guys for a wellness check, and that's what we went for.
Video from the other deputies shows a mellow interaction with the suspect.
Can you just keep your hands out of your pockets for us?
But it quickly takes a turn as the first deputy joins the others.
Hey, he needs to be detained.
And another tells Gale he's going to pat him down.
Yeah, weapons on you. I'm gonna pat you down real quick.
No, don't touch me. I'm sick. I have COVID-19, so don't.
Gale appears to pull a gun from beneath his jacket, and within seconds, 3 deputies fire shots.
Hands up!
Drop the gun!
One at a time.
Hey, drop the gun! If you reach for it, force is going to be used against you.
The suspect falls face down on the ground. Eventually, the deputies approach him, handcuffing Gale and turning him over. They say they found a second gun on him. EMS workers pronounce Gale dead at the scene. In addition to the 5 perspectives released, the Clark County Sheriff's Office also slowed down the first deputy's video and pointed out what they say was the gun. The investigation, led by Vancouver Police, continues, and the 5 deputies from the incident remain on leave. Of the 3 who fired their weapons, 2, Sergeant Tom Yoder and Deputy Forrest Gonzalez, were involved in previous officer-involved shootings while working with the Clark County Sheriff's Office. Yoder in 2016 and Gonzalez in 2021.
Again, that was Alma McCarty reporting for us this afternoon. The Sheriff's Office is investigating the sexual assault allegation. Detectives also say when they searched the suspect's RV, they seized multiple firearms and more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition. Here's a few other local headlines we're following this afternoon. The man accused of breaking into and vandalizing the grotto in Northeast Portland made a chaotic court appearance just this morning. Shortly after hearing the charges against him, 57-year-old Paul Yeager started yelling and swearing at the judge and other members of the court. That verbal assault continued until the hearing ended, and he was escorted out of the courtroom. Police say Yeager broke into the grotto around 5 o'clock Wednesday morning. He's accused of breaking security cameras, destroying religious artwork, and vandalizing several rooms there, including the chapel. The judge set his bail at $50,000, and he can't go within 150 feet of the grotto. His next court appearance is set for March 11th. The Oregon Department of Forestry announced it's sending a strike team to help fight the wildfires that are raging right now in the state of Texas. A total of 16 firefighters and 5 engines are headed there. This is part of an agreement that allows Oregon to send firefighters to other states when the wildfire threat here is low. In exchange, other states will send help here during Oregon's wildfire season. Burgers and fries also making headlines on this Friday. That's because In-N-Out has filed a development application with the city of Ridgefield. The proposed Clark County location would be part of a new development off Pioneer Street near I-5. So this is still very early in the process, but if In-N-Out does land in Ridgefield, it would be the chain's first location in the state of Washington.